Hello everyone and welcome back to round 16 of season 3 of our F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here in Baku for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live a few days ago from Monza, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. The Temple of Speed, as always, delivered quite a dramatic race inside this game. We have still got, as you can see, an 84-point lead over Fernando Alonso as we head into this weekend. Once again, we outscored both he and Charles Leclerc last time out. And of course, you know, as we get towards these final few rounds of the year, hopefully we're going to do everything we need to try and wrap up the Drivers' World Championship. Sergio Perez got his third win of the year, though, last weekend, so he's pretty much either got a podium or not scored since Monaco, when he obviously took those back-to-back victories as well. So it's certainly been an inconsistent year for our teammates so far. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed to the channel. We are trying to get as close as we possibly can to 6,000 subs by the end of the year. But yeah, returning to Baku though, this track can be a little bit sketchy at times, so I think we're just going to try and survive and hope that we end up in a good spot.
It is a truly unique layout. Welcome to Baku and welcome to qualifying.
But normally then it's the driver career mode inside this game that has one-shot qualifying, but here in Baku today, rain earlier on in the session has basically meant that everybody is going to get one run right at the end on a set of the soft compound tyre here, so everybody else heading back out there. Look at that, immediately Dennis Hauger goes to the top of your order, but there are still a couple of drivers that for whatever reason have opted to stay in the pit lane here, so yeah, this is going to be one of those odd sessions of just trying to get a lap time on the board and making sure that we don't bin it on our singular lap time that obviously we've got here, and hoping as well, I believe that is, yeah, Hauger, isn't it, of course. It was just in front of me. It did move out of the way, but it was certainly a little bit late. We get a bit of a wobble as we make our way through the next couple of corners. These kind of sessions are so high stakes inside this game. You can see we're not far up on Hauger at the moment, and he's dropped right back down to the rear of the order. I mean, look at that, though. Verstappen and Russell, alongside myself, the bottom three at the moment on the grid. I believe Verstappen and George, though, are both still on run, so I would expect them to rocket back up as we navigate our way up through the castle section. How aggressively do you go around this lap there? I mean, how much risk do you take? As Verstappen actually is in the pit lane then, so George Russell is going to be the only one other than myself then that's still trying to improve here. That has felt pretty good up to this point. One more corner, real corner to go then. Oh, look at that, Russell to the top of the board as well. So very, very good lap time by the Mercedes man. But will we be able to carry an advantage round as we make our way through the final couple of corners, open up the battery, try and give ourselves the best possible run we can do back towards the start-finish line? Have we just gone a little bit early, though, with our ERS usage? We're going to struggle a bit for top-end speed up to the line. 37.5. We only go P13 there. I'm a little bit gutted with that. Well, we have certainly got a mixed-up grid then. 6 cars from 6 different teams making up your top 6. Alex Albon and Williams always love this venue inside F1 24. We ended up slower than Lance Stroll, though, but it always is the case here. I struggle for one-lap pace here in Baku, but Max Verstappen, he will line up at the back of the grid, ready for the GP, even slower than Nico Hülkenberg.
The starting line set a few meters away from the Caspian Sea. It is an unusual location, and it is one where starting low down the grid does not mean the end for your race. We've seen Stroll and Sainz take podiums here from the 4th row. Can anyone emulate them today? With 20 turns and a length of 3.7 miles, Baku City Circuit in the heart of the Azerbaijan capital is a real test of a driver's endurance, patience and precision. 90-degree corners through Sector 1 lead into a tightening uphill sprint as we start to circle around the old city. Then a 1.4-mile chase flat out through Sector 3 towards the finish line. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Ricciardo, Leclerc, Albon, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Tsunoda, Sargent, Ocon, Joe, Stroll, Mr. Monaco, Sainz, Teo Porcher, Norris, Bottas, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri and Dennis Hauger. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
The boss wants another podium finish this weekend. I know you're more than capable.
Well, a podium finish from P13 on the grid might be quite difficult, Mark, but if it was going to happen anywhere, as we heard from Alex Jakes in the intro, Baku is probably going to be that place. This Grand Prix can always deliver some interesting drama, and I'm sure today will be another one of those races there. Medium to hard, the tyre wear isn't too bad here, but you have just got to be a bit careful of the rears. It is so easy to overheat them, so staying out of trouble as well is going to be really important. 5 red lights on the grid. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go there. Lance Stroll getting onto a very good getaway. Everybody on the inside line responding and reacting pretty well there as we make our way in towards turn 1. Let's see, Verstappen, how on earth has he already moved up so many spots there? He was almost into P16 temporarily as we almost run into the back of Zhou Guanyu's Aston Martin off the exit of turn 1. We've got Teo Pourchaire desperately trying to hug the inside line. We'll give him a big old squeeze into the next braking zone. And then trying to open up the corner for ourselves on the way in. Again, having to be very careful. Oh, it's just everybody Constantine running up so badly off the start of this one. Sainz will find a way around the Chinese Formula 1 driver. And so will we through the next couple of corners. Oh, Zhou bobbles out over the curbs. Lucky that he was able to find some purchase on the exit of the corner there. But he's not going to back out of it as we make our way up in towards the castle section. Now he will. Never really want to deal with that. As Logan Sargent, he's not a name we talk about much anymore inside this game, especially, of course, after he got dropped in the driver career mode. Still in F1 24. I'm hoping one day they might patch it. But yeah, he almost in the points. Whilst we were trying not to lose our front wing on lap 1, Sergio Perez got into the lead of this GP and is already trying to just build up a little bit of a buffer at the front of the order. Of course, if he wins this race, he's got as many wins so far this year as we have. So yeah, just is the consistency that has been Checo's main problem here, as everybody now with the DRS. Can we try and get a run on Carlos Sainz, who is also looking for a move on Logan Sargent? Of course, we know just how quick that Williams is in a straight line, so efficient inside this game, despite the fact that hasn't really been the story of the Williams car as much in 2024, but yeah, we've got to try and start making moves here. There are already a couple of gaps beginning to form in the train. Can we have a look down the inside of Carlos? Oh, it's a late lunge, but we get there. We give him the room, and that was pretty decisive. While Sargent has barely hung on to the DRS from Lance Stroll in front of him. But I believe, yeah, Gasly as well, I want to say, that is in the Alpine, struggling just up the road, is almost 230 miles an hour back in towards turn 1. Oh, and there we go, we've made another move on Logan Sargent there, and almost now up into the points. Sorry, it's Ocon versus Lance Stroll in through turn 2 and turn 3 there. The Aston Martin, the Red Bull man, force a habit. It is so cursed seeing Stroll in the Red Bull there as Ocon. Not sure whether he's trying to attack or defend. I don't think he knows either, but either way, we'll catch him napping. And there we go, 2 overtakes made up through that first sector once again. Well, I'm going to try and do a big top speed test then against Lance Stroll here. Just see how quick this car can really go. There is 229 miles an hour, which might well be VMAX with the the Renault power unit inside this game. As Lance Stroll, yeah, he can't really do a lot against that. Back in towards turn 1. I wonder what is the fastest speed you can go on this game. I think I've had 235 out of a car before. But yeah, the Renault power unit and the Mercedes power unit, which are the two obviously we're using right now, are pretty weak. We need Ferrari or Red Bull power. Well, it feels like it's been a very long time since I've driven in Baku here on F1 24, at least in an F1 car. I know obviously our F2 career mode came here, I think it was last weekend, depending on when this video goes live, of course, as always. All the videos have been recorded in such a weird and random order in the recent weeks and months. But yeah, at the moment though, Perez has comfortably got a lead over everybody else here. Charles Leclerc, I think, is now trying to go in hot pursuit. That Stroll tries he might, was trying to hang on to our coattails and hoping that we could drag him to this next gaggle of cars, but I finally got him out of our DRS range. Yeah, behind him, Sargent and I believe it's still Ocon battling against each other. They are just throwing away time right now, so yeah, tyre wear luckily is still very, very low around this venue, but we're kind of just waiting to see if we can close in, because we're not that fast. Well, I think Baku, more than any other track inside this game, always kind of accentuates the problems of F1 24. You see, obviously, unless you can get a gap early on, just no one can break away from each other. We've been lucky, of course, because the AI tend to trip each other over. We've been able to get into the range now with Lewis Hamilton. And, of course, yeah, the ERS/DRS is so powerful inside this year's game as well. I mean, look at that, closing in still. Hey, it certainly isn't, Mark. None of these guys are under blue flags. Saying Lewis Hamilton is a slower driver is probably not something the Mercedes man wants to hear. As we try and go for a touring car style move at the first couple of corners. Can we try and have a look maybe to the outside? We're certainly not going to be able to have a look to the inside of Lewis in towards turn 3. Oh, he does lock up there, luckily able to keep it going, and we will go right the way around the outside. So happy to make yet another move here, but I think, yeah, we are going to dive it in the end of this lap. I don't want to have to battle through any more of this traffic than I have to. Well, this might all get a little bit awkward, as I'm sure a lot of cars obviously will be staying out there for yet another lap. I'm slightly worried that the team are going to screw Checo over by giving us priority stop. But yeah, Alonso in, I believe Tsunoda is in, and Alex Albon, as we almost understeer out into the wall. That would not have been good. And a pretty embarrassing crash on the way in there. The AI as well, all of them should have got penalties. I think I would have as well, for not obeying the white line on pit entry. But apparently if Sainz could get away with it back in Vegas, then who knows what the rules are anymore. Let me go. Why are we so far behind? Hamilton's jumped us. Oh, come on, team. We've got to be better than that. Lewis Hamilton getting the jump on me through the pit cycle. That was really not what we needed. Funnily enough, Hamilton and Helga were the two drivers, of course, that we followed in qualifying as we try to get started on our final lap as well. Hamilton braking very, very cautiously behind the Sauber. Can we try and go wheel-to-wheel into turn 8? No, we can't. There is all Hamilton. I just thought for a moment he might turn in too early and absolutely give us a roadblock. A red flag right now would be terrible news, because, of course, it would allow everybody that hasn't pit yet to claim a free stop here. As we try and make our way then down into that final sector. Oh, that sausage curb is lethal as Checo is in. Well, I'm sure Hamilton is about to get the move on Dennis Hauger. Hauger, though, opting to dive into the pit lane and just get out of the way there, as again, almost 230 miles an hour back down in towards turn 1. There's plenty of cars in the pit lane. Around the outside of Lewis we will go, though, and we're still only in P10. Have we been undercut by someone? No one stayed out there. Who would have we? I swear we were running in like P8. Ah, that'll be what it is. McLaren, of course. For some reason, McLaren on this game, always in Baku, go for the alternate strategy. No matter what happens, they always start on hards. They just can't seem to qualify here. So both McLarens, yes, still out there at the moment on their worn set of hard tyres. That being said, though, tyre wear is pretty low. So it's probably not costing them too much. Well, again, for both Fernando Alonso and I, it feels like throughout a lot of this season, it doesn't really feel like anybody's had a dominant car, apart from maybe us in the opening few rounds. Obviously, 4 wins from the opening 6 Grand Prix, but yeah, nobody really has had a dominant car this year, and that's kind of worked out quite nicely after we were able to build up such an early championship lead. But yeah, obviously, if we can outscore Alonso again here, just like we did at Monza, keep trying to open up that gap, try and mathematically lock out this championship with as many races to go as we possibly can. So we make our way up through the old town. Can we try and get underneath Fernando? Oh, that was close. He gives me the car's width, but nothing more, as again he tries to squeeze me. Championship rivals going at it as we make our way down the hill. Again, Alonso trying to look for it, but the car on the inside there just able to squeeze him out. Annoyingly, though, that might have been a really badly timed move, because I think we've lost the DRS to the V-car with Yuki Tsunoda in front. So there we go, McLaren finally starting to pull the trigger. How do we not have DRS? Eh? Yuki Tsunoda somehow, again, keeping us out of his DRS range there, as Oscar Piastri is left to try and defend for one more lap. I guess if you're McLaren in a race like this, you've got to try and roll the dice after yet another bad qualifying session here. You know, if you get a red flag well timed, well, then obviously you just gain a huge amount of spots for free. But yeah, it's Oscar Piastri trying to defend from Alex Albon. Normally, that story would be the other way around. Well, this might be a good opportunity to try and see if we can finally crack 230 miles an hour as Oscar Piastri will peel into the pit lane. There goes 220, 228, 229, 230, 232! Temporarily there. It is so much fun to try and max out cars inside this game, and I reckon there's got a little bit more left in it. Tsunoda now feeling the pressure, though, as we try and make our way through those first couple of corners. There is quite a big gap up the road, but look at that, they're almost 3 wide up there for P2. So things are certainly getting very, very dramatic towards the end of this race. There's a late braking manoeuvre around the outside of Yuki. Of course, yeah, the way he's been running recently, he could still be a championship threat by the end of the year. So happy that we've made the move. Once we've made the move on Alex Albon, he might be the most difficult car of the entire race so far to try and shake off and get out of the DRS range here. But if Russell, Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo all keep battling further up, who knows what might happen by the end of the GP there. New fastest lap coming in, or new personal best lap coming in for us. Ricciardo's actually the one with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Of course, he loves this venue. The late braking Honey Badger. And I'm sure he's made a fair few late braking manoeuvres today. Oh, I think Leclerc made a mistake down at turn 1 because suddenly Ricciardo's broken free. And George Russell now very, very bunched up behind him. Will we see George now try and go for a move as we make our way down in towards turn 3? I think Leclerc is really struggling here. Oh, that is a squeeze and a half on George Russell as Daniel Ricciardo taking the opportunity to try and run away from these two. But yeah, obviously you got a couple of overtaking opportunities early on in the lap. Apart from that, though, we're basically got to wait for the start-finish straight again. Oh, there we go. George Russell that time round will make his way around the outside of Charles Leclerc. Will the Ferrari man be even more vulnerable? Yes, he will. And now you can see Charles Leclerc going from a podium place. Oh, he's not going to give up on P4 just yet, but he will go around his outside. So is this race really winding down in these last few laps and more cars becoming more and more spread out? We could definitely get Russell. We might be able to get Ricciardo. But yeah, Sergio Perez, he loves this venue. He is walking away with it. Russell then, again, without the DRS to defend yourself, you haven't really got much of a chance against the AI behind around this circuit. To the outside we'll go. Oh, it's actually bottom out over the curbing there down in towards turn 1. So that will give Russell a chance to defend in through that first corner. Can we try and get the power down? Maybe switch him off a turn 2 there. Yes, we will around the outside. And George Russell's got nothing. It's been a long time since I've blown past a car like that inside this game. Russell just no drive off of turn 2. And we will say thank you very much. Ricciardo 3 seconds up. Perez 12 seconds up. Sergio Perez has dominated today. Well, we have been pushing so hard over these last few laps just to try and carve the gap down to Daniel Ricciardo. We obviously bagged a 1-2 last weekend at Monza. I want to try and do the same today as Perez up the front. He is just bringing the other car home, ready for his 4th race victory of the year. But the problem we've got is, of course, as always, when we go to street circuits, I like to tend to nudge the walls. So yeah, 84% on that front right. Doesn't actually feel that bad, of course, but we have to try and get inside the range of Daniel Ricciardo heading onto the last lap. Otherwise, I don't think we'll stand much of a chance. But just see making our way through turn 1 and turn 2. They're again raising up towards the barrier, and we just cannot quite get within the 1 second detection point at the right time. Well, 1 more lap to go, then you can just see that gap is hovering right on the 1 second mark. But I think we've just about done it this time round against Daniel Ricciardo. But we have got to keep it so clean and tidy on this last lap. 91% on that front right. We cannot afford a lockup. We cannot afford any understeer. Obviously, we had that puncture back at Zandvoort. So we finished the race back in Jeddah as well. With just 3 wheels left on the wagon. So I'd like today to just be a little bit calmer here. But we know what we've got to do. Just stay close to Ricciardo by the time we get out onto the front straight. As again, just nudging it. Did we get any more wear? Yes, we did. 94%. This is not what we need late on in the day here in Baku. But we are just desperately trying to hang on with this car right towards the end. Sergio Perez, though, what can we say about him today? Has absolutely dominated this one. You know, he always loves Baku. He's pretty much always been better than Verstappen around this circuit as well. Obviously, should have had a podium last year. Obviously, last season even, I should say. Until, obviously, he and Sainz had that accident on the very last lap. And, well, he's come to this circuit inside this game. He put almost a second over me in qualifying. Took the lead on lap 1. Built up the DRS gap. And has never looked back as he makes his way out of the final couple of corners. Sergio Perez is going to win the Azerbaijan Grand Prix there. But what can we do against Daniel Ricciardo just behind? You can see the Australian trying just to save a little bit of battery as we make our way through the final couple of corners. Will he be able to get the run, though, as we make our way up towards the checkered flag there? We are inside the range. We've got to open up that DRS and just try to use a little bit of battery on the run to the line. We'll have him.
Oh, this has been a drive and a half, and it will be rewarded with a trip to the top step of the podium. Sergio Perez wins.
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
A show-stopping performance from the three drivers approaching the podium right now. It's been an interesting Grand Prix, that's for sure.
Well, look at that then. Just like we saw at Monza, we bag another 1-2 finish for the team. Sergio Perez, though, a little bit more dominant this weekend there. Didn't quite get pole position, but did lead, I believe, every lap of the GP as well. So, yeah, he absolutely does not look back. 12 seconds clear come the checkered flag. It really was the perfect afternoon there, and now means that each of our drivers have won 4 races this season. Daniel Ricciardo in 3rd ahead of Leclerc, both Mercedes there in 5th and 6th, with Tsunoda, Albon, Alonso and Esteban Ocon rounding out at the top 10. Verstappen only good enough to recover to P14 in the end. Oscar Piastri 18th, Lando Norris 19th. Come the end of that one, and Lance Stroll, our only driver that failed to see the checkered flag. What does that do to our championship standings? Well, it means we've got exactly a 100-point lead over Fernando Alonso once again there. Leclerc now just 8 points back, as Sergio Perez now closing in on P2 and P3 in the championship. Could we get a 1-2 for Team 2-1-2 by the end of the year as well? That would certainly be quite cool. I mean, look behind us, though. An Aston Martin, a Ferrari, a 2-1-2 motorsport car, a McLaren, a V-Carb, and a Mercedes. 6 cars from 6 different teams inside your top 7 there, which is pretty impressive as well. It now means that 10 drivers this year have taken over 100 points in this campaign, and we could still very easily see Oscar Piastri, Zhou Guanyu, and maybe even Ricciardo cross that threshold as well, which would easily be a new record in Formula 1 as well. Constructors-wise, we've got 156 points over Ferrari there, who are just a little bit safe ahead of Aston Martin. McLaren still just behind Mercedes there, and V-Carb still ahead of Red Bull. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Singapore.